You know, we like to believe that the Constitution holds on its own, that it lives somewhere above the noise and is untouchable. But then a week like this comes along, and you can feel that the seams are being pulled. Today, Monday, November 10th, the Supreme Court agreed to hear a case out of Mississippi. And the question is whether a state can throw out mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day, even if they were mailed on time. And on the surface, it's about deadlines, but underneath, it's about power. You see, the Constitution says states control the time, place, and manner of elections, but Congress can step in to alter those rules, and Congress has already fixed Election Day by law. So when a state sets a rule that pushes counting past that day, we're entering a constitutionally gray zone. Back in 1796, Hamilton warned that the federal government must have the means of its own preservation. He meant elections. He meant this exact kind of test. And we've been here before. In 1864, when soldiers were voting from muddy camps far from home, states scrambled to make those ballots count. Now, it's mailboxes instead of battlefields, thankfully. And the question is still, whose rules decide what counts? And meanwhile, the Senate struck a late-night deal on November 9th to end what's now the longest federal shutdown in American history. And the Capitol lights flickered back on, but not before millions of people felt the pain. Federal agencies furloughed workers, courts slowed to a crawl, SNAP benefits lapsed in many states and ended up being paused or delayed or tangled in litigation. The Constitution says no money leaves the Treasury without a law from Congress. James Madison called that the people's most effectual weapon. This week, that weapon was used not for violence, but to force a reckoning. And in another case heard today, a former inmate in Louisiana said prison guards forcibly shaved his dreadlocks, which is against his Rastafarian faith. The legal question isn't just whether that was wrong. It's whether he can hold those officers personally accountable under federal law. Jefferson once wrote that no person should suffer because of their beliefs. And that line is etched into law. But rights without remedies are just decorative. And one more headline, actually, this week. The Supreme Court declined to hear Kim Davis's appeal. That's the former Kentucky clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples after Obergefell. The court said, no. And by doing so, the court affirmed what it first made clear in Cooper v. Aaron back in 1958, that government officials don't get to choose which constitutional rights they obey. So this week, the Constitution is being tested by many small strains, all happening at once. And so the question becomes, what holds when everything else bends? And what part do you and I play in keeping the whole thing together?